Hey everybody, before we get into episode 5 of Cady's Corner, I almost called my other name the name of my other podcast. Holy cow, it must be a late Wednesday night. Anyways, before we get into episode 5 of Cady's Corner, hey, just want to remind you, Mohawk Honda, they are amazing partners with us here at Godzilla Media and amazing partners with drivers across the capital region and beyond here in upstate New York. And this spring is the perfect time to get top dollar for your trade-in with the Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash offer. Whether you're looking to do a swap out for a new or a certified pre-owned used vehicle there on the Mohawk Honda lot, or you just want straight cash, homie, just like Randy Moss, don't worry. They'll take care of you because if you want straight cash right in your hand, they'll give you a check same day you bring in your vehicle. No, they're not going to wait 3 to 5 business days, no 1 to 3 weeks. Screw that stuff. You're going to get that check in hand same day you bring that vehicle on the lot. And like I mentioned, you can always just swap it out at a fair price towards a new vehicle or a certified pre-owned used vehicle on the lot there in Scotia Glenville. And the inventory just continues to roll in day after day at Mohawk Honda. So go and check it out. It's available at mohawkhonda.com or check out all other social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter, as all of their sales and leasing consultants are ready to work with you to find the best vehicle for your budget and lifestyle. Single, newly engaged, building a family, whatever it may be, Mohawk Honda is ready to take care of you over in Scotia Glenville this spring, where they always go out of their way to please you. Yes, episode 5 ready and running. And yes, I have the correct number of the episode for this week. I'm Brian Cady. Hang with you. We're presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by Mohawk Honda. If you want to check out my Twitter and you're listening to the audio only version of this show, it's at Brian Cady, BrianCady. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, greater issues in baseball in general, Brian.Cady at GodzillaMedia.com. So let's just jump right into it with the Boston Red Sox. We're going to go from worst to best in this scenario. And the only word I can think of is literally yikes. Uh, they lose a heartbreaker in 10 innings, 10-5 to the Angels last night. And they're just, oh, they are just a struggle fest right now. This is a team right now, 10-14, fourth in the division. Thank you, Baltimore Orioles. But I mean, it's a mess. Excuse me, they're 10-15. So 10-15 on the year, fourth in the AL East, only ahead of the Orioles. They were lucky. They lost 2 out of 3 in Baltimore over the weekend. Um, they split the first two against the Angels to start off the week here, as Waka was able to help pitch a shutout against the Angels, and then the Angels win 10-5. As I'm recording this earlier tonight, I'm recording this Wednesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Um, just a mess. Shohei pitches later today on May the 5th, Thursday, against the Red Sox. Then you got to host the White Sox for 3, who are a team just at the precipice of wanting to break out. They see all the pieces to be fitting together properly and firing at all cylinders. And then you gotta go and face the defending World Series champion Atlanta Braves for a quick 2 game series before visiting the Texas Rangers for 3. The nice thing, you're getting a lot of days off here at least. You had this past Monday off, you've got next Monday off, and you have next Thursday off. So you got 3 off days within a week and a half. How the hell did that work out for you? I mean, take advantage of it while you can. But I mean, just look at the schedule so far. The Red Sox going back to their series at Tampa in late April. I mean, they won the opener, then lost 4 in a row, and then they exchange wins and losses in the last two in Toronto, the first two in Baltimore, then lost the rubber match this past Sunday in Baltimore, and now have split the first two against the Angels. The squad just they're just not clicking. Like they just can't they can't string together a pair of wins together any better than I've been able to string together consecutive months of upholding a diet over the years until recently. We're not gonna get into that, but I mean, just look at this lineup. Dahlbeck's still batting a buck 47. Trevor Story's barely over 200. Still hasn't hit a homer this year. Xander Bogarts and Rafael Devers, like them and JD Martinez are the 3 bright spots right now on this team. I mean, it's a mess. It's a freaking mess. Neither of your catchers can hit. Christian Arroyo can't hit. Uh, I mean, Jackie Bradley Jr. Don't get me started. And Kike Hernandez isn't even above the Mendoza line right now. This squad is struggling. And it goes right down the line into some of the pitching as well. I mean, Nick Pivetta, where you at? Rich Hill, you're showing your age, buddy. Now, Eovaldi, Waka, Hauk, they've held up their end of the bargain. Garrett Whitlock has been terrific so far out of that bullpen, even though he's only been able to save one game because the Red Sox aren't winning, aren't putting him in winning positions or savable positions. So it's like, man, this, like, I should be pained by the Red Sox as a Yankees fan, but I mean, this squad is just a hot mess. I mean, you got Rich Hill facing Shohei Otani to close out the series at Fenway against the Angels. Then you're going to be hosting Chicago for three, including a game where you got to play at 11:30 in the morning on Sunday because Major League Baseball thought that was a bright marketing idea to play to play late Sunday morning games at one on and off throughout the season. I mean, oof, I can't. This squad's a mess. There's the easiest way for me to put it. Um, and it's only going to get worse because the Yankees keep on winning, even though they just lost for the first time in 12 games earlier tonight in Toronto. Tampa, they somehow find a way to put it together every year. They and uh after their game tonight in Oakland where they won 3-0, they're 15-10. They're 15-10. They're 5 games clear of Boston. A Tampa team that has no business being 5 games clear of Boston in the AL East standings. I mean, wow. In the meantime, speaking of that division, the AL East, the New York Yankees, like I mentioned, they lost for the first time. Again, just a reminder, I'm recording this on the late night, Wednesday, May 4th. So they lost earlier tonight in Toronto, 2-1. Nestor Cortez was pitching nasty, but Kikuchi was just a little better. Only run given up by Kikuchi was the solo homer by Joey Gallo in the game that originally tied the game at 1. Yankees, by the way, are off. They're the only one of the 3 regional teams that are off on Thursday on Cinco de Mayo before hosting Texas over the weekend at Yankee Stadium. And then the Yankees will have, if you give me a moment to pull up their schedule, the Yankees, after the Texas series, will have a series in which they will host Toronto. They'll have, just like the Red Sox, they'll have Monday off, Monday the 9th. They'll host Toronto for a quick 2-game series, and then turn around and host the White Sox for a 4-game set, the 12th through the 15th. They'll visit Chicago. They'll be in Chicago, and that's going to kick off an 8-game road trip where they play 4 at the White Sox and then 4 in Baltimore against the Orioles. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about the Yankees because they're just playing that great right now. They're playing that good. Yes, they're down to a 2.5-game lead in the East over the Blue Jays, 3 over the Rays. But when you win 11 in a row and then lose 1, there's not a whole lot to pick apart. I mean, if we're going to be nitpicky, uh, you know, Joey Gallo, would be nice if you hit over a $180. That would be nice. I still stand by the statement that when you have 2 bad catchers, you have no catcher at all, essentially. I mean, Higashioka and Trevino, neither of them are batting higher than a $160. I mean, Gleyber Torres, I'd like to see him turning it up. Josh Donaldson is kind of finding a groove, kind of, sort of. Hicks looks good coming back from the DL. And then you have Judge and Stanton and Rizzo doing what they're supposed to do. Kiner Falefa continues to impress. He's batting over 300. LeMahieu is LeMahieu. You know what to expect from him. In his limited appearances, Marwin Gonzalez has been a pleasant surprise. Tyone pitching a gem against Toronto in the first game, the second game of that series on Tuesday. Um, I mean, there's not much to say there. I mean, When the two worst ERAs in your starting rotation are Garrett Cole and Luis Severino, you know this team is doing something right pitching. Aroldis Chapman still hasn't given up a run all year, has 6 saves. Clay Holmes is doing work. Miguel Castro is doing work out of the bullpen. Uh, Licky has found a groove now, and he's brought his ERA down drastically in the last week. Chad Green's pitching well. Peralta's pitching well, including picking off Alejandro Kirk, who was sleeping at first base the other night. King is dominating. I mean, there's not really any true weak spots right now. Even Loizaga has found a groove the last week or two. I mean, this team is on a roll. Now, obviously, they're not going to keep going on 10, 11, 12 game winning streaks every so often. It's not going to keep going. But, I mean, you have to be impressed if you're a Yankees fan, or if you're just a general baseball fan, observing what the Yankees are doing. You got to be impressed. You got to just tip your cap off to them and say, hey, you know what? You're doing a damn good job. Aaron Boone is somehow making a believer out of me so far this season. Let's not get too crazy. let's pump the brakes on me becoming an Aaron Boone fan. All right, let's do that. Although he seemed to have a problem with the balls and strikes in Wednesday night's series closer against Toronto. Let's not call myself an Aaron Boone fan yet, but slowly but surely, it seems like Aaron Boone is gaining trust again with fans, and find a way to make this team work. Find a way to make this team execute time and time again. And to that I say, good on you, Aaron. Good on you, Yankees. And now it's time to get back on the horse and keep it rolling as you go into the weekend and host the White Sox for a 3 game set over the course of the weekend. So that's the Yankees and the Red Sox. So now we turn our attention to, of course, the final regional team, the New York Mets. Again, pleasantly surprising me over the course of the last week and then some. Even though the Mets, uh, even though the Mets did go down to the Braves 9-2, thanks to Shenandoah High School out of Clifton Park, a graduate Ian Anderson pitching a terrific game against the Mets earlier tonight. The Mets are still doing the work that is necessary to hold themselves atop the division. 18-7 now, clear of Miami by like 5 or 6 games right now, and they have put themselves in good position early on. The key to a season, a strong start, survive the dog days of summer in June, July, August, and then finish strong. That's really the key to any good to great Major League Baseball team. You start strong in April and May. You maintain some level of consistency throughout June, July, and August. You get through those hot summer days. You get through all that. You get through the humidity. You get through the heat, the lack of air conditioning. If you're, when you're playing those outdoor games, and then once it starts to cool down a little bit, going into September, going into Labor Day and beyond, you 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 find you get on the roll again. You get hot again. That's the best case scenario. When you're able to go into the stadium of the defending world champions and split a 4 game set with them, that's a good way to look at things. And it's the first time you face them all year and you split 4 games with them. I will take that. I will gladly take that any day of the week. Gladly. You took 2 out of 3 from Philly at City Field this past weekend. Now you take 2. You split 4 with the Braves 2-2. You sweep the doubleheader of all the ways you could split a 4 game set with a team. You won both ends of a doubleheader and then lost the bookend games uh, of the series, which is bizarre. But now the Mets, no rest for the weary. A 4 game set starting in Philly tonight. And then a day off. All 3 regional teams have this coming Monday off. It's crazy. Then you play 3 in Washington against the Nationals before coming home to City Field for next Friday through Sunday against the Mariners in interleague play. So this is a case where now you get to play the 2 bottom teams in the division again. Take advantage of the situation. You took 2 out of 3 from Philly this past weekend. You took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies in Philadelphia at the start of the first full week of the season. in early April. Now keep it going. Keep showing them who's boss. Keep making it happen. And Washington, I mean, the Mets have just been, they haven't faced Washington since the opening series of the season, but that's how you started things hot. You took the first three out of the four games in that series to get the ball rolling, where you won six of your first eight games of the season. So now it's about keeping momentum at this point. But we got to get to the thing that really impressed me and pleasantly surprised me about this squad. For the longest time, the New York Mets have been a team where it's been an avid complaint of their fans that they, for some reason, didn't think that their team, like the upper management, cared about their team and the product on the field. It's a common knowledge. Let's just put that out there. Common knowledge. But they put the right foot forward this past week. They put the right foot forward for the first time in a long time when they decided to cut Robinson Cano this week. Billy Upler, Sandy Alderson, Buck Showalter all decided that making a baseball decision was more important than making a money decision, and they let go of Robinson Cano. They RFA'd him. He was due 24 mil throughout the rest of this year. There's still 24 million more in his contract for next year. And I have to say that's man, they just know how to tug at the heartstrings and make you believe that they're actually turning around as an organization, don't they? They really do. But let's just go back in time for a second here. Because this is what it really comes down to. When you boil it down, when you look at the nuts and bolts of this decision, here's what it really boils down to. Let's be real. Aside from the 2 years Terry Collins actually finished above 500 in his years managing the New York Mets, aside from those 2 years when they lost in the World Series to the Royals in 2015 and then lost in the wild card game to, I believe it was the Phillies, or the Giants, excuse me, the Giants in 2016. Aside from those 2 years, when's the last time you could really sit yourself down, Mets fan or just general observant baseball fan, and can say to yourself, this organization and this team respects their manager. And this manager is demanding that respect from them. He's earning that respect from them because he he doesn't have to earn it. Buck doesn't have to earn a damn thing. He deserves it right up front with this track record of success he's had, with the way he built the Yankees before Torrey took over, the way he built the Diamondbacks before Bob Brenly took over and won a World Series in 2001, the way he could have in Baltimore if their organization wasn't just so inept. You have to go back 20 years, basically. You have to go back to the Bobby Valentine era. So, I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. The only managers in the last 40 years of New York Mets baseball that have been truly respected across the board by players, management, other personnel in the office. Davey Johnson, Bobby Valentine, Buck Showalter. And Sandy Alderson and Billy Epler took whatever Buck Showalter said and said, all right, we'll put baseball before money. We're starting. We've got a hell of a start to our season so far. Let's keep it going and make the right move for not just the on-field product, but honestly, what I feel like was the right move for the clubhouse. I feel like it was the right move for the clubhouse because look at this squad right now. This squad is a youth-infused squad right now. Now, it has a good mix of veterans, obviously, in their young 30s in McCann, Escobar, Canha, and Marte. But generally speaking, your squad is full of guys in their mid to late 20s. Alonso, McNeil just turned 30. Lindor's 28. Nimmo's 29. Don Smith is 27. You've now taken the handcuffs that some of these younger players may feel like they had, especially Dom Smith, because now you're going to give him more at-bats. You're going to give Luis Guillorme more at-bats. J.D. Davis can get more at-bats now. Jankowski could even get more at-bats. You're taking the handcuffs off these young guys that are getting hamstrung by the 39-year-old, $24 million man known as Robinson Cano being on that roster and taking playing time away from them, taking starts away from them. And now they can feel free. They can finally feel like they can play ball and not have to worry about whether or not they even have a spot free for them in the lineup the next day. I feel like this was the best move, both from a baseball perspective and a clubhouse perspective. And I applaud Mr. Alderson, Mr. Epler, and Buck Showalter. I applaud them to the hilt. Right now, they're kind of experimenting with a little bit of a six-man rotation with Scherzer and Bassett, Carrasco, McGill, Peterson starting game one, the doubleheader the other day, Taiwan Walker, now that he's back off of the 10-day DL. Edwin Diaz still doing well. Seth Lugo's improving. Ottavino's improving. Joel Rodriguez, and Trevor May is on the DL, though. Sean Reed Foley's on the DL, though. So now you're asking those guys, so that core in the front of the bullpen, the Drew Smiths, the Lugos, the Ottavinos, the Diaz's, to lift their game up a little bit and hope the guys behind you do the same. The Tracian Shreves, the Rodriguez's, the Trevor Williams, the Adonis Medinas who have been called up. They got to set the example for the other guys behind them. So the rotation's great right now. The For the most part, the rotation's great right now. I'm not big on Carrasco, but we'll see what happens in the long term. So it's just a matter of the bullpen holding up there in the bargain, even though they're down two of their normal arms back there. So now we get through the Red Sox. We get through the Yankees. We get through the Mets. And I want to get to something that I addressed a little bit last week. Last week, if you recall, in episode 4 of Cady's Corner, I tore into Angel Hernandez and how he's essentially just taken up the role that Joe West had as the most hated umpire in Major League Baseball. But he's going too far with it. Let's just be fair with him. Now we're going on a whole nother level here, because it seems like the attitudes and this this weird game of, I don't even know how to put it. Like, basically, I feel like the umpires are in a weird position where they know technology is catching up with them, and they're bound to become less and less necessary as time goes on. So they're having this weird ego issue right now where they feel like they have to, you know, be more controversial in your face or just be a lot crappier at their job than usual. Laz Diaz, I mean, I don't know if y'all paid attention to his strike zone earlier this week, but holy crap, he was calling stuff 4 to 6 inches way off the plate. That which was downright embarrassing and was shown all across America on national TV outlets. Then you have this schmuck who was uh, umpiring the Diamondbacks Marlins game Wednesday afternoon, and I'm looking to see what the name of the umpire is. Excuse me. Oh, okay, Dan Bellino. So Dan Bellino was the first base umpire for this game, and it's typical, obviously, after a half inning for a pitcher to be checked for any substances on their pitching hand. It's we're used to that by now since last year, um, when they started to cut down on everything with the spider tack and all that jazz and all the rumors are surrounding it, this so on and so forth. So Bumgarner is getting checked now during this at the start of it. Bumgarner is not even looking at Bellino because he expected it to be a quick 5-10 second thing, nothing crazy, like it normally is. The thing is, Bellino, when he's checking he's using his hands to check Bumgarner's hand, but he's not even looking at the hand. He's staring daggers into the side of Bumgarner's head to the point where Bumgarner just can feel a weird tension that was unnecessary and uncalled for and like just ridiculous. And then Bumgarner feels this tension, looks at Bellino, looks at his hand, notices Bellino continuing to stare daggers at him, not at the hand that he's inspecting. Bumgarner exchanges words with Bellino. Apparently, he used explicit language towards Bellino, and Bellino just decided to toss him. So I don't know where this Napoleon complex is coming from right now. Now you could say there have been certain umpires over time that have a Napoleon complex with players. It's well documented throughout the years. You can look at different umpires, and it's obvious. I don't know what Bellino's problem was with Madison Bumgarner, but that's a case where it's a perfect example of umpires being insecure about themselves to the point where now they have to exude that insecurity onto a player and cause the player to get themselves ejected when there should have never been that scenario or situation in the first place. To me, I feel like being a Major League Baseball umpire is the only position, the only job you can hold where you can instigate bad behavior from somebody else in the workplace, but you're the one that gets to dish out the punishment in the end. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There was no need for that from Bellino. I'm sure somebody will talk to him at some point, whether it be the office, the commissioner's office, somebody within the umpires union, or even just the crew chief of the crew that worked that game today between Arizona and Miami. It's absurd. Umpires have this weird Napoleon complex that is just going too far at this point. And they need to check their egos at the door before they walk out onto the diamond every single game, or they just need to get the hell out. Just get out. It's ridiculous. We're at a point now where, as much as I'm still unsure about it as far as an execution standpoint, the more and more these umpires act like complete asses, the more and more I'm like, sure, get rid of them. Put technology into call balls and strikes. I don't care anymore. Do it. Because it's interactions like this that are causing distrust within players and distrust from the players' union. And the weird thing is, Major League Baseball actually listens to them when it comes to this. It's come to a point where I'm I'm almost ready to finally just say screw it. Just put the technology and get rid of these umpires. Screw them. I don't care what it does to pensions and unemployment. Screw them. Screw them. Just get rid of them. Get rid of them. The only good thing about umpiring so far in 2022 has been when working, the on-field microphone that the crew chiefs are using when it comes to video challenges by respective teams. That's the one good thing so far this year. But the bad is severely outweighing the good and getting way more of the headlines than the good. This is the kind of stuff that needs to be stopped. And I don't know if it's got to be the umpires union that says something, if it has to be the commissioner's office that says something, but somebody has to say something at some point. Somebody. Because Las Diaz, Dan Bellino, and all the other umpires that are making their fellow umpires look horrible. They're messing it up for everyone else. It's like they say, what's the saying when you're in school? It takes one bad apple to ruin the whole bunch, or the whole barrel. That's the case with Bellino and Las Diaz and Angel Hernandez. They're three bad apples that are ruining the whole bunch for everyone else across Major League Baseball. And now, with this crap that Bellino pulls with the hand inspection, now you're gonna have everybody on their tippy walking on eggshells at this point when they get inspected. All the pitchers, because who knows what other umpires are gonna have the quick heave ho if you give them the slightest bit of attitude about the inspection. It's a bad precedent that needs to be nipped in the bud before it becomes a league-wide problem. And that being said, that's episode 5 of Cady's Corner. A little shorter, a little sweeter, though, I think, than most of the past episodes from the previous month. But I thank you for checking it out. Again, it's Cady's Corner, presented by Godzilla Media, sponsored by our friends at Mohawk Con and Scotia Glenville, where they always go out of their way to please you with their Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash offer. Make sure you check that out. Check them out on social media. Once again, if you're not watching the scroll on the YouTube video of this episode and just listening to the audio only, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. My Twitter handle, at Brian Cady. My name all is one word, BRIANCADY. And if you have any questions, comments, complaints, issues you'd like to hear me address on the show, either about your team or something at large within Major League Baseball, Brian.Cady at GodzillaMedia.com. Also, quick note, as we're getting closer and closer to this happening, I do plan on adding in a little bit of coverage, since it is baseball related. I am planning on adding in a little bit of coverage about the two local teams in the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball Summer League that college players take part in around here, the Albany Dutchmen and the Amsterdam Mohawks, and possibly coverage of the Tri-City Valley Cats. Again, it's all work in progress. It's in the planning stage of everything. So, just got to figure things out and go from there. That being said, thank you again for checking out episode 5 of Cady's Corner. Until then, enjoy this upcoming week of baseball. We'll catch you with episode 6.